How would you like to win £45 million by backing a horse at huge odds that has already won its race? Sounds impossible, but it happened in 2011.
But Vola Lavedette and Andrew Lynch out in front, racing up towards the finish, and Vola Lavedette will win for Colin Murphy and Andrew Lynch.
But there was something odd about this particular race, because when the market went in play, it seemed that the odds were sort of stuck at that particular moment within the market. And I sort of looked at it casually, but didn't pay much attention to it. But as the race progressed, I could see that there was a big problem in the market. And the big problem was that somebody was in the market and they had laid £21.5 million at odds of 29. Now, typically, you expect now and again to see some sort of odd activity. You can do the maths yourself. I can't work it out off the top of my head, but if you multiply 21.5 million by 29, that's a pretty big number. And somehow somebody had that in their account, they'd laid it on this particular horse, and they were willing to take all money on the other side of the book. Anybody that wanted to back it in 29, come on, I'm going to take all of your money. They just left it there, and no matter how much people backed at those odds, the money remained. And as the race progressed, it was obvious that there was something weird going on, because this particular horse went on to run a good race and it crossed the line. And when horses cross the line, what odds will they be? They'll be at 101 to lay, because they've absolutely definitely won the race. But no, this particular horse was still available in the market at odds of 29. Something really strange had just happened. So of course, after the race, the whole trading community went into total meltdown. Because how on earth can you have a horse that has just won the race and had crossed the line and still available to back at 29? And a lot of people had backed. Nobody had the money or the funds in their accounts to take all 21 million on that particular runner, but 1.6 million had been matched at odds of 29. So obviously something had gone really seriously wrong. Betfair suspended the market and they did not settle. Now, obviously that created an absolute firestorm. There was a lot of fuss. This particular race ended up at IBAS, the arbitration service for bookmakers and punters. Because how did the money appear on Betfair if it never existed in the first place? Betfair was saying fairly soon after the race that there had been a technical fault that had created this particular problem. So people were sort of thinking, well, hold on a second, how does a technical fault manifest itself in terms of offering £21.5 million in the market at odds of 29? Because it was so unusual, it did look like some sort of a glitch, because to err is to human, to totally cock up needs a computer. And obviously something had gone wrong. It could be with the database that they were using, it could be a hardware limitation. But what Betfair decided to do was eventually void the entire race, which upset a lot of people because all of that money had vanished. But of course it was never there in the first place. Now, because I wasn't trading in running on that particular race, it didn't affect me. I just sat there and watched in complete astonishment as everything unfolded. But a lot of people felt pretty hard done by. But all of a sudden the speculation started about what had actually happened. If you look at a lot of my videos, you'll notice the staking method that I use. The amount of stakes that I use will go 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024. And the natural progression up from there is 2048, 4096, 8192, 16384, 655376, and so on. But there is a pattern there. The pattern that you're looking at there is binary. So I'm counting upwards and splitting my stakes, counting in binary basically. And if you actually look at the amount of money that was offered into that particular market, it's the 21.5 million, or the roughly 21.5 million, is actually the maximum value for maximum positive value for a 32-bit signed integer. What is that? Well, I'm not going to explain in great depth, but basically that sort of fits that this was some sort of technical or database upper limit error that occurred with however the exchange was written or whatever platform the exchange was running on. So if you look at the maximum positive value for a 32-bit signed integer, it equals the amount of money that appeared in the market on that day. So it was some really way out there quirk that had never happened before and has never happened since, that somehow resulted in the exchange displaying phantom money that a lot of people bet on, and that quite clearly wasn't real money in any sort of particular sense, but maybe shouldn't have appeared on there anyway. So yeah, there was a lot of publicity and press around this when it particularly occurred. When we looked at it from a technical perspective, we sort of suspected that there was some sort of glitch that had caused that to occur, but Betfair never published a full statement on exactly how the situation developed and what particularly caused it. I suspect because if you knew exactly what caused it, you may be able to force the error going forward, which is why I suspect they never published it. But yeah, it was a very interesting moment. It was a highlight in all of the years that I've been actively trading. It's something very unusual to occur. And like I said, it's never happened again. But that was the story of how £45 million was won and eventually lost through all of the bets being voided in just a few minutes at the Christmas hurdle at Leopardstown in 2011.
If you want to find out specifically how this error occurred, somebody very kindly left an anonymous comment on my blog, which gave the full detail of exactly what happened. So go to the description in this video, find that link, and you can get a complete description of exactly what happened on that day.